going on, guys? So today we're going to be taking a look at the Thor Ragnarok Grandmaster and Korg 2-pack. Thor Ragnarok was by far the best Thor movie in my opinion, and these two characters were two of the main standouts for me. The Grandmaster, I think Jeff Goldblum did an amazing job with that character, making him funny, even though he was pretty vicious at the same time. And Korg, as menacing as he looks, he added a lot of humor to the movie. The interactions with Thor and Loki were amazing. Okay, so here we have the Grandmaster and Korg out of the packaging, and the Grandmaster comes with the infamous melting stick that he used to melt his cousin after telling him he was going to pardon him. He tells him he pardons him to death. So that was one of my favorite scenes of the movie. Korg comes with some kind of a club. Not really sure what to call it, but that's the accessory that he comes with. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation, starting with the Grandmaster. Okay, so starting with the Grandmaster, we'll talk about his articulation, but I think it is important to understand this character, and if you haven't seen the movie, he's not a guy who's going to run around fighting. He pretty much just stands around, sits down. So the articulation, I think they did a pretty decent job of it, considering that, you know, he's not one of these really mobile type characters. With that said, what we'll notice is on his right arm, he has bicep swivel and a double jointed elbow. So you can see the cut right there, and you can swivel it as such. And then you get the double jointed elbow, so you're going to be able to get his elbow up like that. However, on this side, he has a single jointed elbow, and it's due to the way his robe is shaped, basically. So it's the first time that I can recall seeing a character with one double jointed elbow, and there's also no bicep swivel on this arm either. You do have good range of mobility. He's meant, in my opinion, to be in a stance similar to this, where he's kind of raising his arm up. You can tell that kind of by the way the sleeve is drooping down like that. Now, he does have double jointed knees, but because of the rigidity of the robe that he wears, you're not really going to be able to get him in too many crazy stances. Like, you can probably get him kneeling down, but as you can see, the robe doesn't have that much give. It's not really all that pliable, so you're not gonna be able to do too much with it. There's a little button that actually already came undone there, so you can pull it off, but the problem really is just this arm right here. Because the way the robe is made, it has one sleeve that actually covers the arm and then one that doesn't. So you can pull it off, but you're gonna still have this sleeved arm. It's not gonna look right, so you're probably not going to want to do that. You do have thigh swivel, double jointed knees, as I mentioned, ankle pivot. He's wearing some sandals, which I think they did a good job with. And similar to what we saw on the Corvus Glaive figure, the cape is designed so that it actually drapes down onto the ground, but that tends to help him stand up as well, so that's a good thing. I'm overall pleased. I think they did a great job with the face sculpt. It looks like Jeff Goldblum to me. I really have no complaints. I think they nailed it with this figure. He does have his fingernails painted, his toenails painted, little details like that I think really make this a standout figure, and I'm happy to have him in my collection. So now let's go ahead and take a look at Korg. Okay, with Korg, again, I think they did a great job with the details, the deco they put on his little outfit here. Amazing sculpting. I'm really pleased with it. It looks film accurate. I haven't necessarily compared it to the film exactly, but the face looks spot on to me, and I think they did a great job with it. Now, in terms of articulation, he does have double jointed elbows. Now, the right hand is a bit limited. It does swivel around like this, but the hinge is up and down, and this is the hand that he uses to hold the club in, so you don't get a whole lot of mobility out of it in terms of up and down motion. He doesn't have a side to side motion on this hand, so it just goes up and down, as opposed to this hand on the left arm. You can get him holding his hand straight out like that and down, so you have kind of alternate means of pivoting the hands depending on the arm that you're using. You can get his arms back about that far, so you could probably, if you wanted to get him holding something up in the air or body slamming somebody, you could pretty much probably do that. His legs are spread apart about that far. He does feature ankle pivot, so you'll be able, if you want to get him in a stance doing something like that, you can do it. Good flexibility. This material still not extremely pliable, but it does enough where you're going to be able to get him kneeling down. Now his knees are double jointed, but they look kind of awkward because of this part right here. If you guys can see that, so from the side, you know, it doesn't look too bad, but when you look at it straight on, you can pretty much see right in this area here that there's like a gap right there, and then there's a piece of rock and then the hinge. So it just really doesn't look natural to have him pose like that. Doesn't look too bad when you just do the bottom joint, because that pretty much matches the same color and everything. But nonetheless, he has double jointed knees, so if you want to get him in some type of crazy yoga stance or whatever, you'll be able to do it. Now for his head, you don't get a lot of up and down mobility. Pretty much this is about as much as you're gonna get. Let me pull on it as hard as I can just to make sure. But yeah, so it looks like you'll be able to get him looking pretty much straight on. And yeah, the back of his head does get blocked at this point by the back. And you can get him looking down about that far. So not a whole lot of mobility in terms of looking up and down on the head, but you can get him looking side to side. He has upper torso swivel as well as waist swivel. So overall, I mean, I think they gave him all the articulation that you could ask for. And I think they did a great job on the design of the character. So once again, I'm pleased with him as well. Now I'll do a quick size comparison with Thor and the Hulk so you guys can see how he measures up to them. Okay, so just for a quick size comparison, I have Gladiator Hulk, Gladiator Thor, and I was able to fit Valkyrie in the shot as well, just so you can see how they stack up. And in the film, I do think that Korg was a slight bit taller than Thor, so that seems pretty on par, and he's a little bit shorter than Hulk. I have Hulk's legs spread out a bit. This is the Build-A-Figure Gladiator Hulk. So I think they scale pretty well. So now let's go ahead and I'll give my final thoughts on this 2-pack. Okay, so for my final thoughts, I think that they did an amazing job on the Grandmaster. I think they did a great job on Korg as well. The only complaint that I really had, and it's not even really a complaint because I don't know how else they could have done this with the knees, but it's just something to be aware of. Doesn't really bother me because I'm going to have them standing up. I think they could have opted for single jointed knees. Going with the double jointed knees, you're going to run into that problem. So there wasn't really a whole lot that they could do there. Overall, I'm very pleased with both figures. For me, I think this is a 2-pack that fans of Thor Ragnarok are going to want to pick up. If you're not really a big fan of the movie and didn't really care for the characters, then it's not something that you're going to be interested in. You know, there's a lot of collectors who don't even collect MCU figures. But if you do decide to pick this 2-pack up, I don't think you'll be disappointed. So with that said, thank you guys for watching. As always, thank you for your support, and I will see you on the next video.